Dear students of class 11, welcome to this recorded class of biology. Students, we have started the chapter structural organization in animals in the last class. Today we are going to progress in that chapter. So before starting with new topics, let us revise what we have learned in the last class. In the last class, we defined what is tissue. Tissue is a group of similar cells having specific function and origin. Then we divided the animal tissues into epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and neural tissue. We then studied the general characteristics of epithelial tissue. That epithelial tissue, they has a free surface, they mainly line the body parts, and they are compactly arranged cell with very less intercellular matrix. They lie on a basement membrane. Then we divided the epithelial tissue majorly into two types: simple, which is single layered epithelium, and compound epithelium, which is multi-layered. Right? Then we started studying the characteristics of simple epithelium. The simple epithelium is composed of only one layer of cells, and based on their shape and structure, they were divided into three more types: squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, and columnar epithelium. See, the squamous epithelium are flat cells. These are squished cells. The layer of squamous epithelium is very thin. We studied that, is it not? And that's why they are present in the parts of the human body where diffusion is needed. This is a diffusion boundary. Then we studied about cuboidal epithelium. In cuboidal epithelium, the cell's shape is like cubes. Okay, and they are mainly involved in secretion and absorption. Then we studied about columnar epithelium. The shape of the cells are like columns. They are tall, slender cells. These cells have got more than one nuclei. Their main function is absorption. Then we studied about the modification of this columnar or cuboidal cells. We have found two modifications. Number one modification is the ciliated epithelium, where the free surface of the epithelium have got cilia, and they are basically present in the nasopharynx of human respiratory tract and in the fallopian tube to guide the ova out towards the uterus from the ovary. Then number two modification was the glandular tissue, where the cells, they became glandular and start secreting hormones, chemicals, enzymes, sweat, saliva, etc. Based on the number of cells, this glandular epithelium were divided into two types: unicellular, where the gland is composed of only one cell, and multicellular, where a cluster of cells, they work together to form the gland. For example, salivary gland. Then we studied about we divided the glandular epithelium based on their poring, the means of poring. If the glandular epithelium is poring with the help of some ducts, then we name them as exocrine gland. This is another classification, exocrine glands. Exocrine glands, they do not release hormones. Remember, they are releasing oil, sweat, sebum. We studied all these things. It's not in last class. Now endocrine glands or ductless glands, they do not have ducts. So where they will release the hormones? They will release the hormones in the blood directly. Okay, and they are releasing only hormones, remember. After this, we completed the simple epithelium and we moved to compound epithelium. Now compound epithelium, as the name suggests, is made up of more than one layer of cells. They are mainly their main function is protection against chemical and mechanical injuries, right? So they are basically present in the skin, in the pharynx region. So and after this, we also studied about the cell junction. Cell junction are the certain, the structures which help to provide structural and functional link between the cells. These cell junctions were divided into three types: tight junctions, adhering junctions, and gap junctions. The tight junctions, what is their function? They will hold the cells of the tissue very tightly and prevent leakage of any kind of matrix from outside the tissue, from inside to outside the tissue. Number two is the adhering junction. As the name suggests, the junction which is adhering, they are joining two cells to neighboring cells. These are kind of junctions are called as adhering junction. Number three is a gap junction. The junction which forms a kind of an bridge of communication between two neighboring cells, where the large size molecules, smaller size molecules, ions, they are transported, they are communicated. That kind of junctions are called as gap junction. Right? So today what we are going to study, let us focus. The learning outcomes of today's class are going to be, we are going to study the general characteristics of connective tissue. We are going to name the different types of connective tissue. We are going to explain the functions of this connective tissue present in human body. So let us get started with today's topic, that is connective tissue. So connective tissue, we all know, as the name suggests, it is the tissue which connects one part of the human body to another. This connective tissue are majorly divided into loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue and specialized connective tissue based on the quality of the matrix. The loose connective tissues are again divided into two types: areolar connective tissue, adipose connective tissue. Dense connective tissue is divided into dense regular and dense irregular kind of tissue. Specialized tissue, where the matrix is a bit special, we'll discuss in detail. Specialized kind of matrix is special. They are divided into three types: cartilage, bone and blood. So let us first start with the loose connective tissue. Loose connective tissue, in this the cells, okay, the fibroblasts, macrophages, mast cells, they are loosely arranged in the matrix, and the matrix is semi-fluid. In the matrix, along with these cells, there are also fibers. These fibroblasts are the cells, they release the fibers, and the fibers and the cells, they remain together in the semi-fluidic matrix. These loose connective tissues are of two types: areolar and adipose. So we'll start with areolar connective tissue. In the image you can see the cells of the areolar connective tissue which are present just beneath the skin, and this areolar connective tissue, they are present in the matrix and surrounded by so many fibers. Did you see the fibers? This serves as a support framework for epithelium. The function of areolar connective tissue is that the epithelium, the skin, okay, they will be resting above this areolar tissue. Next, we will move to the second type of loose connective tissue, that is adipose tissue. The adipose tissues are the tissues which stores fat. These are large globular cells. They store so much of fat that they shift their periphery and they shift their cytoplasm and nucleus towards the periphery, and the whole center space is occupied by the fat. These cells of the adipose tissues are called as adipocytes, and these adipose tissues are also present just below the skin. Number two kind of connective tissue is the dense connective tissues. So why dense connective tissue? Because the fibers and the fibroblasts, the cells of the connective tissue, they are compactly arranged compared to the previous loose connective tissues. Okay, now this compactly packed dense connective tissues are again divided into two types: regular connective tissue and irregular connective tissue. Now let us study their characteristics individually. Dense regular connective tissue. Now in dense regular connective tissue, the fibers as well as the fibroblasts, the cells of connective tissue, they are arranged in a regular fashion. The fibers, the collagen fibers, they are present in rows, okay, and all the rows are parallel to each other in the form of bundles. You can see in the image towards your left hand side. The examples of this dense regular connective tissue are the tendons and ligaments. So we all know the functions of tendons and ligaments. These tendons, they join the skeletal muscle to the bones, and ligaments, they join one bone to another. So that's why this dense regular connective tissue is very important. Dense irregular connective tissue. Now in irregular, what will happen? The cells and the fibers, they are not arranged in a regular fashion. Very simple thing. Otherwise the matrix is similar, it's not so fluidic. This dense irregular connective tissue is present in our skin. Okay, and these fibers, these fibers are collagen fibers, and these fibers, they make our skin tough. They make our skin free of wrinkles, and when we age, this collagen fiber, they start breaking. And what is this creams, facial creams they have collagen to prevent wrinkles, is it not? Okay, I don't know if it is doing that in reality. Now number three is a kind of connective tissue, is a specialized connective tissue. The specialized connective tissue are special because their matrix is somewhat different. Their matrix is not that semi-fluidic matrix. So number one kind of specialized connective tissue that we are going to study is the cartilage. The cartilage, they are solid and they are palleable. Okay, and why they are palleable? Because there is presence of chondroitin salt, not calcium, but and this chondroitin, they resist compression. This cartilage, they are basically having the cell, name of the cell is chondrocytes, and these chondrocytes, they are releasing, or they are secreting some fibers, and they are also secreting the matrix of the cartilage, the tough matrix which is made up of chondroitin. Now in the human body, in the embryonic stage, the whole skeletal system is made up of cartilage. But with development, the cartilage is, cartilage solidifies more to form bones. But in certain parts of the human body, still cartilage is left out, like tip of the nose, like our pinna, external ear here, like our larynx, the sound box, is not it? At the end of the long bones, there is cartilage still present. Now, after cartilage, we will study about the bones. The bone is hard compared to cartilage, and it is non-palleable matrix, non-chewable matrix, because this matrix is made up of calcium salts as well as collagen fibers. The cells of the bone are called as osteocytes, where chondrocytes were the cells of the cartilage, osteocytes are the cells of the bone, and these osteocytes are present in a hole that is called as, or a space that is called as lacuna. In plural we call lacunae. Now these cells, the osteocytes which are present in the lacuna, they start releasing the matrix surrounding it. And the matrix, in the image you can see this matrix are being secreted layer by layer, and that is forming so many concentric rings surrounding the bone cell, right? So now we will study about the functions of the bone. See, bones are very important because it gives the structural framework to the human body. It is also supporting so many vital important organs like our heart, the lungs, is it not, the kidneys, the limb bones like our hands and legs. They are doing an important function. They are bearing the weight of the human body. These bones are also important because they help in locomotion and movement of human body. Bone is also important because the bones, the long bones like our shaft bone, hand bone, our thigh bone, these are the places where the bone cells are formed. The blood cells, the bone marrow is formed. Bone marrow is present in these long bones, thigh bone and the shaft bone, and this bone marrow converts and forms the blood cells, RBCs, WBCs and platelets. That's why bone is also important. Now we will move to the third and the last type of specialized connective tissue is blood. Now blood is important because it is a fluidic connective tissue. The matrix is very fluid, not like bone and cartilage so tough, even not like the areolar connective tissue, semi-fluid. It is a fluidic connective tissue. The fluid of the blood is a plasma, and in that fluid the cells of the blood like RBCs, WBCs, platelets, they float and move from one place to another. This plasma is very important because in the plasma not only these cells float and move, the plasma is also carrying so many vital molecules like the food which we eat, our nutrients. The plasma is supplying to the cells, the oxygen, the carbon dioxide, nitrogenous waste, the important protein molecules like antibodies, immunoglobulin, all these are dissolved in the plasma. Whereas RBC is important because it is needed to transport oxygen from alveoli to the blood cells with the help of the pigment present, hemoglobin. We all know about it. WBCs are of different kinds. We will study it in detail in the coming chapters. WBCs are important because they provide immunity by engulfing the foreign body which enters into human body. We will study in detail about all these things. Whereas platelets, they help in clotting or coagulation of blood whenever there is an injury or cut in the body. So that much for today. Let us recapitulate what we have learned in this class. We learned that connective tissue is a tissue which connects one part of the human body to another. This connective tissue is divided majorly into three types: loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue and specialized connective tissue. These loose connective tissues are divided into areolar and adipose, where adipose stores fat and both of them are present below the skin. Then the two types of dense connective tissues are regular dense connective tissue and irregular connective tissue. This dense irregular tissue is important because some of its types like ligaments and tendons, they hold the bones and they attach the bones to the muscles, right? Then we studied about the three kind of specialized connective tissue, the cartilage, bone and the blood along with their functions. So this much for today's class. Thank you for watching the video. If you don't understand something, please play it again and watch it again. If still you have any doubt, you can ask me for any kind of confusion. Your homework will be uploaded in the Google Classroom along with this PPT. So please submit your homework on time. I am giving very small amount of homework. So please keep that time limit. Okay, thank you once again for attending the class.